So today we actually have a guest. And before we go into introducing the guest, I do want to apologize for a couple of things. One, I have a cold. My mother also has a cold, and that gives you a little bit of a teaser that's not so much a teaser anymore because I just said it's my mom. So excuse my voice, and also we are sitting on her bed right now, and so you might hear some different audio because we do not have my normal mic. We are using my phone, and so I'm hoping that the audio will be okay. But we're actually going to go into having just a very casual conversation with my mom, and she is going to share 4 tips for raising kids from a mother of 11. So if you did not know, I am the third oldest of 11 children. And today I am going to have my mom here to give us some tips on raising kids. If you are in the thick of it and feeling overwhelmed, we're hoping that this conversation will help you. Are you ready to stop the chaos, the stress, the overwhelm that's filling your life? I'm Renae Matt, and together you and I are going to build simple routines that are going to change your life. When you put these habits into practice, you're going to be able to organize your life in a way where you can be there for your family, pay off your debt, save money, your house can stay organized, you don't have to stress about what's for dinner, and you still get time for yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome to the Routine Advantage Podcast. So to start, I'm going to ask my mom to introduce herself. Her name is Kathy. And can you tell them a little bit about who you are or kind of your situation on where you're at right now?
Hello, I'm Kathy. Thank you, Renae, for having me. Yes, I trying to think of what your listeners would want to hear. I am a wife of over 40 years. Our oldest just turned 40, and our youngest is 16. So I have a range of children, you being my third. We have 7 daughters and 4 sons, and right now we have 18 grandchildren and 1 on the way. And I try to think about what my life has been throughout the years. We have had our children went to public school, they went to Catholic school, then we homeschooled. We've been homeschooling since 1998.
Yep, since my 5th grade.
Yep, Renee's 5th grade. And so I think back, I'm assuming a lot of young mothers are listening to your podcast. So I think back at that time, and to start off, I guess, like the tips. Do you want me to just start off with the tips?
Yeah, we can go into So I had asked my mom to share some tips of like the top tips of raising kids. Because if you have heard any of my previous episodes, I do not have children. I do obviously have a lot of nieces and nephews between, like my mom said, she has 18 grandkids. So those are all my nieces and nephews. And then Tony has a lot of nieces and nephews as well. So we have it on both sides. And so we're around a lot of children, and being the third oldest, I grew up with a lot of children. So I know what it's like to have kids in those instances, but I don't have children of my own. So I wanted to bring somebody that has a lot of experience. And I know that my mom does. So yeah, if you want to kind of talk about like the first tip that you have, and we just went through and I asked her to just share a couple of the top tips that, if you're in the middle of raising kids, some things that might help if you are struggling or if you just want to hear advice from somebody that has raised a lot of kids. So yeah, what would be your first tip for somebody that is raising kids to raise them well?
Okay, before I get into the tips, I'd like to say that Renae has been a huge part in me helping with all of our children and her nieces and nephews. It is amazing listening as having adult children and listening to their memories. How many memories of my younger children have memories of Renae teaching them things or going on little adventures or field trips that she has taken them on, or doing little book reports and the things that they remember, the foods of the different countries, and just it's those things that that's what the children remember. It's not the day-to-day so much stuff that they remember. It's the out of the ordinary things that they do. And Renae has been she's just wonderful at bringing memories and bringing value to life. So I just have to say that before we go into my tips. It's like I am just a vessel here, and so
Well, I have to say, like, having the routines built into the day-to-day stuff, like that stuff that's not very memorable, is a good way of being able to make those more adventurous memories. Like,
that's true.
so it frees up the time to do that too. So that's kind of a fun way. I get the fun stuff. I don't have to. I don't parent. I don't have to do the scolding or anything like that. I just get to be the fun aunt, or the fun sister,
auntie, and the fun sister. And oh my goodness, you are amazing. So just, I think back about when the kids were little, and it's been a long time because, like I said, my kids are all older now, or, I've got 2 left at home here now. But just bringing myself back to when the kids were little, I remember really wanting to have them have a routine of, when they get up in the morning, make their bed. And as they're making their bed, trying to teach them to just say their prayers while they're making their bed, offering up cleaning their room, picking up their laundry, gathering their hangers, bring them to the laundry room. That was our little situation. And just trying to have them keep their little routines and giving them chores. I used to like to give them little charts, and I am a list person. I like to check boxes. And so even when they were really little, I would go and give you guys little pictures of a little bed, or hangers, things like that. Just having them understand that their little routine matters, and trying. Go on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, like, that became our morning routine without even knowing it was a morning routine. Like, we didn't call it a morning routine necessarily until you really started making those lists.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is what you need to do in the morning, but it just became the morning routine when you realized what we needed to do to make the day run smoothly.
Yeah. And, and just trying to teach each child that it's like, their routine matters. If they don't get their chores done, because I would try to rotate your jobs. I don't know if you remember, we'd go and we'd make little job, you rotate jobs. And so if they
it was like a cycle.
Yeah. And if they would not get their job done, it affected the whole family. And just teaching them that what you do matters. Everything you do matters in this life, and whether in the home or out in the world. So just teaching them that valuable lesson. Mm-hmm. So I guess that is my number one tip, just bringing their hearts and minds to Jesus in everything they do, and teaching them that their role in the family truly matters to all.
Yeah.
So.
And what would you say for chores? Like, so I know you said that before our conversation, you said your second tip was assigning the chores and doing those checklists that you just mentioned.
I kind of ran those together.
That's okay. That's okay.
Tip 2.
But bringing that in, I will highlight the tip 2 of the assigning chores. What would you say? I didn't give her these questions beforehand, so I'm kind of asking her on the fly. So I apologize, Mom. But if you are talking to somebody that has an age range, like it's little kids to big kids, and like you're raising kids of different ages, what are some like appropriate chores that you would say, like if they just don't know, what kind of chores to give their children, of what would be age appropriate? What are some just things that you can think of offhand of what kids could do at different age ranges?
That's a good question.
That you've experienced, I guess, with your own kids.
That's a good question, because many moms would, we all have to decide what's right for your own family. One child of one age might not be ready in one family to do something that another child in another family would be able to do. So you have to kind of learn what your child is capable of. I honestly, my children, I don't know. Maybe I'm biased, but I tell you kids rocked, and you guys could do amazing things. That the things that come off.
We had good role models.
Oh yeah, there you go. No, but it was amazing because our oldest daughter, when I had our 5th daughter, I got very sick. So she had to take on, at age 10, she had to take on a lot of cleaning and cooking and laundry. And I remember when I had our ninth daughter, our fifth daughter at that time, I don't want to give names, but she had to, I remember the week I came home from the hospital, she did 24 loads of laundry. And it's like this 24 loads of laundry. She washed, folded, and dried them when she was not yet.
Why did we have so much laundry?
That is
Sorry, Mom.
laundry has been an issue for me. And like you say, being in the thick of it, I tell you, I had piles of laundry. I know you kids have terrible memory of never having enough socks. I had a sock bin.
I was saying it wasn't enough socks. They were all clean socks. They were just bins of unmatched socks.
Unmatched socks, and my children have trauma over this. And
my siblings, sorry. If they listen to this, they're gonna remember this.
I apologize to all my children. I am so sorry. I did try to do my best, but like you say, it is tough raising children. It really is, and
it's just a memory we have is the sock bin, the dreaded sock bin.
Oh gosh, but trying to yes, but I would say too. You asked about the age ranges and what they're capable of doing. The older children helped me so much with our younger children. During when I was homeschooling, I had like preschool hour, I'd call it, and older children would take on for an hour so I could help the middle children read or give me time with the other children. And that was huge. And I guess stressing to each child that they each have a role to make a family run smoothly, that the importance of each one, it just working together as a family. I tried to give that to each of you guys and you kids, and you guys were just, I don't know, my grown adult children just amaze me now. So you guys all work together. And I think that's something that to give your child the importance of what they do on the chores that you do give them. As far as the age appropriate, I mean, all right, Trisha, I'm saying a name here, but she was third
She's been
grade.
On the podcast before,
that's right. Okay, so
I don't think she'll mind.
Okay, I mean, when she was third grade, I remember for church, we had our church festival every year. And she made the pies for my mom and my sister and myself one year. So she made 6 pies for the church festival. And I believe she was third grade. Maybe she was 5th grade. She was young. Remembers this. Oh yes, she would remember it. I mean, and these were beautiful pies that I was proud to bring to the church. I mean, so she was capable of that.
She had started cooking and baking long before that. You're saying like they're old enough at that time to pitch in the kitchen.
Oh, you bet. You know, even little on chopping vegetables and helping in the kitchen. Children are totally, involving them, I think it's just so valuable. And then, I mean, emptying garbages when they're 2 and 3. I mean, seriously, just,
like little bathroom garbages. They can empty those little bags.
Yeah, emptying garbages, sweeping the floor. Let them sweep the floor. Let them vacuum. I mean, they feel so proud. And making them feel proud of what they do and assuring them that they are truly helping with a family unit. And I think that is chores. I will honestly say that we one of your siblings, he wasn't as motivated as some of the other ones. And this is, I know, I'm sorry. Okay. But the thing is, as I would do, if I could have to do it over again, I would have changed my role on that, because I did let him get by and just not having to do things. You girls did things for him, and I let that, and because it was easier getting out the door, tie his shoes, do this, and if I would do that over again, I would have tried to make him be more accountable. Because children, they need to feel accountable. So,
and when you had mentioned the pride, or make them feel proud, like that was one thing that you were always really good at, though. And I think that stemmed from Grandma and Grandpa too. It's is very like words of affirmation, verbal praise all the time. Like you were always very, good at and you still are, but just encouraging any age especially like the little ones when they're learning how to do things, like it might not be done perfectly and it might not be done exactly how you want and it might have taken a lot longer than you wanted it to.
It's a lot easier to do things yourself than to, yes.
It is, but you were always good at like at making them feel proud for what they did, and that in turn they want to help more when they know that they're gonna be making a difference and be appreciated.
I think, thank you for saying that, Renae. That's really sweet. And I did appreciate my mom and dad bragging me up. It does. It's amazing, using the different language, using the positive language towards your children rather than the negative. That makes a huge difference in how they look at life. And as an adults, they do. I ask the children, they sit there, you guys are all sitting around the table and talking about all the memories that they have. And it is amazing the negative things that they do remember. I'm thinking, okay, why don't you guys remember the good things? But
we do. We just mix those in.
There you go. And
the bad memories are the ones that are more fun to talk about sometimes.
There you go. And I do, like you say, you hear that. It's like, oh gosh, I did that wrong. But no, as for all you young mothers out there, you just do your best and smile. I don't know if we can move on to the other. Can we move on to the next one? The next tip was it was choosing your reactions. I was a yeller when you kids were little, and I'm sure Renae can say how much she remembers me yelling. I yelled a lot.
I actually don't remember you yelling that much when I was younger. It's when I was more like mid-range is when I started, I guess, have memories of it. Maybe you yelled the whole time. I have no idea, but I don't remember it earlier on.
I have to say I was a yeller. And now if I could relive those moments, I would try to give you young moms and grandmothers or whoever's listening to this, and even aunts and uncles or whoever's listening, not to yell. Your kids really, they don't need it. I mean, yes, there's time for discipline, and I think discipline is very important, but we don't have to yell with discipline. And if choosing your reaction, what would I do is, I think now, step out of the room, go into a closet, go into the bathroom, go step away from your child and take a breather and just ground yourself and just say, okay. And just choose what kind of reaction you're going to give that child. The child does not dictate your emotions and how you feel when a stressful situation, when the house is a mess and the children aren't listening and it's hard and you feel like you're going to blow up. And that's what I did. And I wish I could take those moments back. Life is a journey and we keep learning. But if someone would ask me for advice, that's one thing that I would try to advise, is just not to yell, step back and try to have these moments be a teachable moment for your child.
So would you say like it would be, as something's happening to take the time to step away, or would you, if you had to go back, would you decide what you wanted to do? Like really think it through on what reaction you'd prefer to have so that when it comes up, you know exactly what you want to do. So like you said, step away and take a deep breath and do that. Would you put that as like, I mean, we're talking about routines on this podcast. So would you build basically like that default routine of like when you're feeling like you're going to blow up, to step away and have like a specific thing that you go through to kind of talk yourself down? Or would you just kind of think of it on the fly of just doing it?
As you say that, I would think it would be a good thing to have a routine of have different options.
Like
a plan of action. Because when you are in the moment, in the heat of the moment, it is hard to think rationally. So if you had a plan in mind, and that, I think that would be the best. That's good advice right there, Renae. Just, just having a plan of, stepping away. And I don't know, maybe your listeners would have different ideas of really what to do, but just knowing that the yelling, it's not going to help you. It's not going to help your child. And it just doesn't, it's not good for anybody.
It's not good for building relationships.
Exactly. And you want to build those relationships with your children because, I feel very, very fortunate. Yes, quite a few of my children have moved away from the area, but
Not because mom yelled.
Yeah, not because of my... Okay.
We're not trying to get away from you.
Okay, there you go. But they do come home. You still want to come home. So I guess that makes me feel happy that it's like, okay, at least they still want to come home, because you wonder, it's like, oh my goodness, all the things you did wrong as a parent, you wonder if they ever want to come home.
But I live 3 hours away and I'm sitting here on her bed, so
yeah,
so I'm home.
It's great. It's wonderful. I'm so thankful. But like you said, though, building relationships, and it is in the heat of the moments, that it's a teaching moment for your child. It is during, you're teaching your children the different emotions and the different things in life that happen. And you had a brother that was really hard. He had kind of anger issues when he was little, and he was quite little, and he had some serious temper problems. And I remember calling my mom up and asking her, Mom, what do I do? I was in tears, and he was 2 at the time. I'm thinking, what am I gonna do? And he would get so angry, he'd pound on the doors, and it's like I would take him into the bedroom and I would say, okay, I'm gonna shut this door, and when you're done, you can come out. And I'd put him in the room, shut the door, and he would sit there and scream and scream and scream. But anyway, teaching him through that, I would go in and I'd talk to him about, just bringing his heart to his guardian angel and to Jesus, and to have asked Jesus to help him through these things. And he did. He finally got through it, and he's such a gentle person to this day now, Yeah. And just directing the children towards God, because that's why we're here, and building the relationships with each other. And those high stress times can be real moments of teachable moments.
Yeah, so. if you remember at that point, because like you said, have the reactions.
Like you said, like it's the routine.
Yeah.
That is, that is, you could build yourself a little routine. Yeah. Now that we're sitting there talking about this, that would be good.
I think a lot of the things that you did when we were little were routines without us realizing they were routines. Because I remember you doing that, and that was kind of common if kids were reacting, that you would go and talk to them, and a lot of times it was, you're making Jesus sad. I remember hearing that when we were little all the time. Like how does Jesus feel right now?
Yeah, I guess so. Like yes.
Where that was like a little go-to routine, and it always worked, because you never wanted to disappoint Jesus.
Exactly. That is no way. And as we're sitting there talking about this too, I remember too trying to make sure our children, you kids got outside all the time.
Oh,
I think outside time is huge, and nowadays
to get creative and use your imagination.
Yeah, and just running and playing outside. And I know nowadays it is hard with electronics and things like that. I think it's harder
or if you don't have a yard or
a yard.
We were very blessed with a big yard and animals.
If you can go to a park, if you don't have a yard for the children to play, or woods or whatever for them to play, we were very fortunate that you had a place to play. But yes, just making sure they get outside time and staying off the screens as much as possible. I think it would be hard to raise children in this day and age, just because I think I might have been guilty of giving the child a screen to play, to babysit them while I get something done, and if that is the case, I would strongly advise not to do that. Your children do grow up so fast. It is literally a blink of an eye. I can look back now, like I said, my oldest is 40 and youngest is 16, and it feels like just yesterday that you kids were all so little. And but it goes fast. So using those moments of high stress as a teachable moment, and choosing your routine of what to do when you do feel like that, and step away.
And what you just said too of like making those memories too, is that kind of goes into your fourth tip that you had talked about, was kind of plays into that too.
Yes, the fourth tip was being present with your children. you know, I think many of us have this attitude. We're thinking so much of what's going on tomorrow, what's going on next week, what's going on next month, that we kind of forget to just live in the moment now. And that, I think, is a learned behavior through the many years. I'm 50, so I'm pushing 60. I'm 50 to 58 now. So, but it is, there's a lot of truth and wisdom with age. It's, and I'm kind of losing my train of thought
fine.
here.
Well, when you were talking about being present too, it's
okay.
like, I think the bigger thing too is like, because especially with little kids, it gets so busy and you have so much going on, and activities that kids are in and all these different things, like life can get really really full. And I think when we were taking time to be more present when we were younger too, especially, like that was the times where you kind of purposely slowed our life down. Like there were days where it was like, no, we're gonna not do all these other things, like we're gonna go to the beach, and you'd pack lunches and like just take time. And I mean, all the other chores and responsibilities were still waiting for us. I mean, they're never gonna go away, they're gonna wait for us, but you made a point to really make those memories and kind of slow life down and be very present in those instances too,
That,
where
that's true, that
you build memories that way.
That is true that you say that, because yes, your dad and I talked about making the choice even to homeschool. That was a way of choosing to slow life down and to be with our children. And I'm very thankful that we were able to do that. It was hard, it wasn't easy, but it was choosing to be with our children. And yeah, like you say, going to the beach. But I think I always, most of the time, I would say, okay, let's get our house all cleaned up, get our chores all done, and then we can go. And it motivated you kids to get things done and just go do something fun. And the busyness of life nowadays too, it's just like choose, being on our phones. I think that's kind of, that's a number one thing. If I could say anything to any parent, please put your phones or your computers down. Get them away from you when you're talking to your children, because really, what message does it say when you're sitting there with your child, or even your spouse or your daughter, your friends, or anybody, And when we pick up our phone, it gives that other person the message that this phone is more important than you. And I think, yes, putting them away, putting them on a shelf, getting them in the other room, that I think is just being present, letting that other person know, letting your child know that I am here for you. And I think that
you're really listening.
Yeah, you're really listening, because we think we can do, and some of us can do 2 things, 3 things at a time, but what message does that give your child or another person to, I'm looking at my phone? So I don't know. The time goes by so fast, but
it does.
It's such good times.
Well, thank you. I just to recap though, I mean, she just gave many tips that were super helpful, and I don't have them listed in here, but the original 4, just to do a really quick recap, is to number 1, she said start your day with Jesus and start your day with intention. And then number 2 was assigning chores, so you're not doing it all alone, and those checklists if you need them. Number 3 was choosing your reactions and having that plan in place of how you want to respond to different situations when you're stressed. And number 4 was being present and building those memories. And is there anything else you want to add that you feel like we missed, or do you think that covers the main tips that you had? Or
I think I don't have anything coming to me right now, but I'm sure we could talk for hours.
This could be a whole series.
Yeah, there you go. You do this again sometime.
Well, thank you for joining us, and I'm hoping that people will get some inspiration or some encouragement if they're going through some tough times, or just like wanting extra tips on raising kids. So thanks Mom.
Yeah, you're welcome, Renae. Thank you. I love you.
Love you. Did you love that episode or learn something useful? If so, would you do me a huge favor? My goal is to grow this podcast and help as many women as I can break free from the overwhelm so they can truly enjoy their life. The best way for me to do this is for you to leave a 5-star written review on your podcast app and to share this episode with a friend or in your Instagram stories. I appreciate you being here. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care.